Yes?
Mr. Mullins has arranged a limo for you. If you could please come with me.
How do I know this isn't like an abduction or something?
It's not an abduction.
You didn't blink. I believe you. Okay, I'll be out in 5.
Hello, and welcome back to another video of me talking about a show that ended way too long ago. Today we're going to be talking about Schitt's Creek, specifically Alexis Rose. When I first discovered Schitt's Creek a few months ago, I found it very charming. The familiar trope of a rich family losing all their money and having to live this simple life allowed the writers to create a sort of theatrical comedy with exaggerated characters and stale enough humor for Gen Z to appreciate. The writing and the comedy was decent, the aesthetics and costumes were very intriguing, and the overall direction was captivating enough for 20 minutes per episode. But after watching 6 seasons, one of the main 4 characters stood out to me, Alexis Rose, daughter of Johnny and Moira Rose. Alexis is in her late 20s. She is essentially a nepo baby with like these crazy stories about hanging out with celebrities and these exotic adventures she had before she lost all their money, and seemingly no real life skill. However, 6 seasons in, I realized Alexis is one of the most subtle and organic character developments you can ask for in a comedy, in my opinion. I'd say her evolution is much more deep than any other person in the family. To back this up, you can just look at the starting point for each character and the ending point for each character. For example, Johnny and Moira go through a lot of emotional, growth and development throughout the show. However, at the very end, they go back to the same thing they were doing before they lost all their money when the show started. David goes through a lot of emotional growth as well and career growth as well. However, none of this compares to the transformation that Alexis goes through. When we put together the statements she had in the first season and how she thinks in the final season, there is a significant change there. And the best part is we can pinpoint all the catalysts to her change and also all of the core traits that initially invited and allowed this development to happen. And I find it very beautiful. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Anyways, when we're introduced to Alexis, it's a few moments into the pilot episode, and immediately she makes a statement that very well explains her view on a lot of things.
Those bags are not for you. My boyfriend bought those for me, so theoretically they are his.
Alexis is shown to be privileged, spoiled, self-centered, and with no real understanding of the importance of work and the value of earning things. She expects things to be handed to her.
Can't we just ask them to give them to us?
This is not some co-op commune, Alexis. If there's a price tag on it, you gotta pay for it.
The show does a good enough job of explaining why these kids are the way they are, because if you look at the parents, they seem to be very neglecting, and essentially the entire show is about this family coming together and learning to, be with each other, be there for each other, even when they don't have to be, when they want to be.
And one asset the government has allowed you to retain.
The kids.
The children are dependents, Moira.
But you can totally see certain patterns of behavior with Alexis's parents towards her. For example, they seem to give her enough attention and validation, but they don't give her long-term nurturing and caring the way she needs. And so you can kind of see that that's what she expects from relationships with people. Initially, she's attracted to Mutt, a sort of emotionally unavailable person that kind of gives her the same sort of surface level lust rather than a more deep connection that involves nurturing and caring, which is what Ted gives her, and we'll get right into that.
I just really want my family to like you.
They don't like me?
No, they do. They do. They've just always seen nice as a sign of weakness. They take advantage of nice.
No, nice does not always mean weak.
Before I go on, I'd like to point out that a lot of Alexis's plot lines have to do with her love life. Most of her story is told through the 2 major relationships she goes through in the entirety of the show. Initially, I kind of wished I could see her in more diverse situations. Like you kind of see her love life and a little bit of her career, but that's about it, mainly her love life. But I do like the way she grows through those relationships, so I don't really mind it. The fact of the matter is what I'm essentially focusing on in this video are core traits that characters have from the beginning that is the cause behind the development they go through, rather than the things that happen to them. I see that there's this video on Legally Blonde by The Take on YouTube that explains this perfectly, but there are certain core character traits that certain characters start off with that are sometimes hidden and disregarded by the viewer, but they are the real reason this character invites change and development. And what happens to that character, the stories, the plots, are just catalysts to get the character to go through the journey they have to go through. And I believe that Alexis is one of those characters. So I don't really care if, I don't think it's like a Prince Charming relationship sort of thing where that relationship is the reason behind her growth. I think those relationships are just catalysts for her growth. I would argue that even if Alexis didn't lose all her money, she would still go through personal growth because of these core traits that she shows. Now let's get back to the story and then we'll get into each of the traits. So, in season 1, Alexis is attracted to Mutt, who's very emotionally unavailable. Now, the side characters in this show aren't very well written. They're mysterious enough where they kind of change direction throughout the show just to get the plot going for the main character. So I'm not really going to get too deep into like Mutt, for example. But he's like super mysterious and whatever, and he's very emotionally unavailable in the first season. There's this important interaction between Alexis and Mutt that's very telling.
What am I looking for in a husband?
Money?
I think it's interesting that Mutt sort of expects Alexis to be what we expect Alexis to be, but Alexis questions it. And I think here is where we arrive at our very first important core trait that Alexis has, which is really her constant desire to change, invite growth, and question her ways. We are then introduced to Ted, Alexis's main love interest throughout the entire show, and in my opinion, a giant catalyst in her growth. Ted is the exact opposite of Alexis's parents. He's nurturing and considerate and shows up for Alexis time after time and doesn't disappoint her. There is a scene where Ted gives Alexis a book to help her overcome her annoyance with his puppies, and it really stood out to me.
This.
Opening your heart to animals, a guide to the benefits of caring for something other than yourself.
By the season finale, Alexis hasn't yet shown many signs of growth, but has shown intrigue and has started to question her ways, which is more than you can ask for these days. Anyways, in season 2, we see Alexis bond with her mother more. It's quite apparent that Moira wasn't there when Alexis was growing up. And so this season and the next season provides insight into that. And the bond between David and Alexis also strengthens. In this season, we see Alexis start to mature a little bit.
Maybe I need to talk less and listen more. And maybe you need to talk more and listen less.
She becomes considerably more emotionally vulnerable. And when we see her go through heartbreak, she yet again showcases one of her core traits that aid her through her development, which is her resilience and motivation. Obviously in her own way, and of course super whimsical and fantastical and exaggerated, but even when speaking of her past, she continuously shows signs of the mindset of falling down just to get back up again. And I think that really aids her throughout the story. In the finale of season 2, we see Alexis show compassion, remorse, and a never-before-seen sense of responsibility. There's also a really nice family bonding moment that shows a sort of acceptance stage has been reached for the Rose family. This is important in the overall arc of the show, I believe. In season 3, we see more of Alexis building healthier relationships and emotional bonds with her brother and mother. And at some point, she realizes her sort of low anxiety, high confidence, blissful mindset might be owed to her brother, causing him to now overthink more and be more anxious about things. And she seems very grateful of that. And here we arrive at core trait number 3, which is bravery and confidence. Although it comes from a sort of blissful mindset that apparently her brother had to pay for, but she does make many changes throughout the show simply leaning on her bravery. For example, it's revealed in this season that she never actually finished high school, so she goes back to get her diploma because she wants to attend some college courses, which was Ted's idea initially. And really the start of Alexis becoming more responsible and investing in herself. In this season, we finally see Alexis show consideration and sympathy for people that she doesn't even know. And this is a very pivotal moment because although from the beginning Alexis was nice, she was never kind. She was nice because she knew she could flirt and charm her way to get what she wants. But here we see her show actual sympathy and care about how her decisions affect strangers. And this is very, very new and important.
I'm just realizing that wanting to come in and laugh at your animal puns isn't enough when there's, like, people here.
At this point, we reach season 4, and I'm just going to blast through 4, 5, and 6 because not a lot happens. After getting her degree and doing her college courses, Alexis starts to do more things that she's good at and really truly reveals the girl boss within.
Alexis has been working very hard on herself. She just closed a very important chapter of her life with Ted last week, and still she's putting everything she has into finding love for other people. What exactly have you done?
She takes on more responsibility, and she shows more growth and expresses her feelings towards Ted.
Now I'm trying to learn from my mistakes before making any new ones.
Then, in season 5, we have this iconic moment.
I'm a little bit of la 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 la, a little bit Alexis.
And we see Alexis compromise her wants for someone she loves. Congratulations. This is a full circle moment considering in the very pilot, Alexis has the chance to leave her entire family behind and when they need her the most, and she intends to take it. But in this season, she makes a compromise for the person she loves, and this is very, very pivotal. She also starts to understand the importance of her family. Finally, in season 6, we see her put a lot of effort in her relationship, and we see her make more compromises for other people. Also, the teacher in Legally Blonde is in this season. Lol. There's a moment where she gets recognition for something she's worked hard for.
I just haven't received flowers from someone I wasn't friends with.
And I'd like to put it in contrast to this scene we have from season 1.
And I miss being surrounded by loose acquaintances who think that I'm funny and smart and charming.
I really, really like how Alexis and Twy's relationship girl power its way and into the final season and the way it pans out. Because although, again, Twy is a side character and not very well written, she's just kind of quirky and random and dark. But they really use her very well in the final season to show how far Alexis has come in her own journey. They started off as such contrasting characters, yet they finally seem to meet each other in the middle in the final season. They're almost reflecting each other, and it's really nice to see. And we see that Alexis has a new view on money and materialism that very much contrasts her season 1 mindset. She even gives up free money handed to her by Twy, and at the end chooses to set off in an independent adventure. And that is the final season. I don't know what it was that was so endearing to me about this character. I think maybe just watching too many just shaky character developments or just out of the blue character developments happen on TV made me sort of hungry and thirsty for this smooth and subtle growth. I think that although it's incredibly over-exaggerated, Alexis shows many relatable dilemmas that we all might share. Another super important part of her character is that she always stays true to herself. You very rarely see her care about what other people think or what other people expect of her. She really does what she thinks is right, and that's what really allows her character to evolve so much throughout these 6 seasons, more than anyone else. And I really liked seeing it. It was a fun girl boss story for me.
By all means, feel free to use the printer whenever you like.
Thank you. Just receipt for business cards that I ordered. And a few pages of temporary letterhead. And a list of BuzzFeed's most motivational quotes for girl bosses under 30.
And yeah, I also really like the way the actress portrayed her. I love her mannerisms. I think they're so funny.
Ew.
And yeah, I thought it was a really underrated, smooth, subtle change of pace in comedies. So here is that. I will see you in the next one.